Hey guys, welcome to a special video here at Parents Night In, Boozy Movie Reviews. I'm flying solo on this particular video because my wife Kelly has refused to watch Midsommar, so I thought I'd give my own thoughts on it. So this will be more like a video essay, I guess. Before we get started, I just wanted to invite you to please give us a like and subscribe and click the notification bell so you'll be up to date on all of our new stuff. Okay, that's out of the way. Ari Aster's Midsommar is one of the most deeply upsetting films I can recall, and I mean that in the best way possible. Not since David Cronenberg's Dead Ringers, which I saw when I was 13, but to this day ruins my night whenever I think about it, has a film actually left me stressed out for multiple days after watching it. Moments and visuals from this film continue to fill me with revulsion and anxiety long after the lights have come up, and I've been wrestling with my brain trying to figure out exactly why. After much deliberation, I think I've pinned it down. And for me, Midsommar is so unsettling not because of its emphasis on grief, cult worship, or toxic relationships, but because unlike most horror films where the protagonists have a chance to escape, Midsommar's horror is steeped in passivity and inevitability. First, let's talk about passivity. Both the characters and the audience are pulled, helpless, into these ghastly, bizarre rituals. There is no element of choice in the matter. These events are happening to the characters, and by proxy, to us. The victims in the film, and those of us viewing it, are forced to take a passive role in the horror. And that theme builds to an appallingly grotesque climax where one of the characters has literally no say and no control over what happens to him. Just consider the following examples of the characters being reduced to a passive role in the story. Number 1. In the first scene, Danny is sent an ominous email from her sister. Quote, "I can't anymore, everything's black, Mom and Dad are coming too, goodbye." End quote. Now that would freak anyone the fuck out, and despite replying 3 times looking for clarification, Danny can't get her sister to respond. After leaving a voicemail with her parents, she calls her boyfriend Christian, who has no useful advice, and she's left hanging, agonizing, waiting for some kind of news. A tragic update arrives a little while later when the police call Danny, and together we learn the dreadful truth. The film's entire prologue is about the main character's total powerlessness to stop a family tragedy. Number 2. Keeping with that theme, it turns out Danny's parents have been murdered helplessly in their sleep. The reveal consists of Ari Aster's camera leading us from the Arter's 2-car garage, up the stairs into the parents' bedroom, and down the hall into Terry's room, where we're shown the unspeakable act that has just taken place. We are passive, helpless observers being literally pulled into the horror. Number 3. Upon their arrival at Harga, Danny and her friends are given hallucinogenic drugs to make them docile and more accepting of what awaits them. Number 4. In the first horrifying Harga sequence, the group of friends watches helplessly as 2 village elders willingly jump to their gory deaths. We're shown in nauseating detail the brutality of this moment, and it sets the tone for even more shocking things to come. Number 5. In the film's third act, Christian is drugged and passively agrees to impregnate Maya, allowing himself to be led down a path of flower petals into the barn. By the end of the ceremony, Christian's sexual role becomes so impassive, one of the onlookers actually stands behind him and begins pushing him into Maya. Number 6. In the film's climax, in the ultimate moment of passivity this film has been building to, Christian is drugged to the point of paralysis, sewn into a bear hide, and set on fire. Christian is surrounded by other human sacrifices. 2 are living, willing participants, 6 are already dead, having been turned into human scarecrows or bizarre fruit sculptures. The idea of a person reduced to a catatonic state being burned alive is maybe the film's most shocking offering. And of course Danny, the main protagonist, herself heavily medicated, just looks on, first horrified, then eerily content at the sight of her boyfriend being burned alive. It's all like a terrifying nightmare where you're subjected to these harrowing, surreal visuals you can't unsee, but in your unconscious state you can't escape or look away, you simply have to endure what's happening or hope to wake up from it. Now for the part about inevitability. This is one of those films where if you've seen any significant number of horror movies, you know deep down it's all going to end very badly. The opening shot actually tells us what we're about to see, via a seemingly innocuous ancient mural. Nearly every horrific event is depicted right there in that first shot. We see the Arter's death, we see Pele sitting in the tree above Danny and Christian, all but pulling the strings, we see the elders falling to their deaths, and we see the May Queen dance. As the film progresses, there are numerous harbingers of doom. Terry's email to Danny essentially spells out what she's going to do to herself and her parents. The series of depictions that Simon and Connie examine the first day they're at Harga shows us what's going to happen with Christian and Maya, as the girl in the drawings hides the rune under the boy's bed, puts a pubic hair in his food, puts her blood in his beverage, and finally the boy falls under her spell. Pele flat out tells his friends that everyone in the cult dies at 72, and that's exactly what happens to the 2 elders. Christian is brought to a room showing a depiction of a bear being burned alive. He is literally staring at his fate. We are told at every turn what's going to happen to these people. On some level, we know enough to feel the dread building to each gruesome moment, and yet when it does happen, it's somehow even more upsetting than we imagined. For me, watching the film a second time, the undercurrent of inevitability actually became amplified and compounded as I literally knew how the story turned out and thus found myself tensing up more as each horrific sequence approached. The element of surprise in this case doesn't hold a candle to the element of knowing. This is going to happen to us and the characters, and there isn't a damn thing we or they can do about it. One more note. There's also the identification, not sympathy but empathy, that any self-aware adult might feel with the Christian character, as much of a douche as he happens to be, and as punchable as his face is. Think of his character traits. He's emotionally distant, impatient, constantly put out by Danny's needs, eager to deflect responsibility or escape a serious discussion when he's at fault, easily peer-pressured by his friends, quick to throw Josh under the bus when he and the ancient texts go missing, and so on. And whether we know it or not, most of us, men especially, have been guilty of one or more of these traits at one time or another in our relationships. This film holds up a mirror to the fragility and emotional impotence we all exhibit from time to time when it comes to truly understanding and supporting our partner. In that respect, on some conscious or unconscious level, we can all see ourselves trapped in that bear suit, so to speak, as our partner looks on with a chilling grin, satisfied that we've outlived our usefulness. And that makes the finale that much more traumatic. No one wants to be that guy. Like I said, Midsommar is a deeply disturbing film. Ari Aster has crafted a masterpiece of unsettling horror, and he's done that without a single jump scare. Midsommar is simply a terrifying, bizarre nightmare, with visuals that will turn your stomach, raise your heart rate, and give you unpleasant thoughts for days. And I mean all of this as a compliment. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching this special look at Midsommar. Please give a like and subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to be updated when we post new stuff.